Hello! If you saw my previous video, you remember that this Edwardian inspired pure wool walking skirt still needed a lot of work, especially the yoke. Only half of the yoke was stitched on the skirt, so first I finished backstitching it. Then I remove the gathering threads. I usually leave the one above the stitching line in the garment as it helps easy handling of the seam. I'd forgotten my own trick and removed all the threads. Then I trimmed the edge of the seam and yes indeed, I'd left my 1898 walking skirt on the chair. One can never have enough fluff on a garment. The point of the yoke was rather bulky, but I dreaded the task ahead of me. I turned the seam inside out and started cutting away from the allowance. I did it little by little while constantly checking the result. I trimmed the allowance of the interfacing. Then I trimmed the allowance of the lining as well. Now the point of the yoke felt nice and flat. I decided to trim the allowance of the interfacing all around. And that of the skirt lining, but only from front seam to front seam. I cut back the allowance at the point even more. I thought I should clip the allowance of the wool at the point, but I simply didn't have the courage to do so. I cut the corner of the yoke lining. In order to reduce bulking, I didn't want the allowances of the two edges to overlap. I basted the lining into place. The back center of the yoke still hadn't been dealt with. I am a chronic procrastinator. To forget what I should have been doing, I whip-stitched the lining. The time had come when I really had to deal with the sent back of the yoke. I turned the allowance of the wool towards the lining and not towards the interfacing. Then I folded the edge. This way it was quite flat. When I turned the allowance towards the interfacing, I ended up with a visible bulk. To reduce the bulk even more, I trimmed the corner of the wool. I cut the corner of the lining. I pasted everything into place. I whip stitched along the edges. I let the skirt hang for 3 days. It's important to let the fabric stretch before hemming the skirt because seams cut on the bias will stretch. I'd put some hook and bar fasteners. I prefer these. They are less likely to unfasten. They are strong and somehow distribute the pressure on the fabric better than hooks and eyes. I decided on the black ones. I had only 2 pairs, so I thought I would use a snap in the middle until I could get another pair, but later. I discovered an unfinished seam. Unfinished it will remain for an uncertain period of time. I only finished felling at the bottom so that I could hem the skirt. I wanted the back about an inch longer than the front. I measured the difference between the front and back a couple of times, always getting a different figure. Then I tried putting the skirt on Louisa and putting my matching petticoat on top. This didn't work either. So I just put the skirt on Louisa and measured the required length from the waist all around. If you can, ask for help because leveling the hem should be done on yourself. Dress form is not your exact body shape and it can show in the final result. During this process I suffered a little accident and I had to apply force to remove this pin from my foot. I hate pins, so I basted all along the hem. At first I made a narrow hem and whip stitched it. I tried to use bigger stitches because they didn't need to be strong as this wasn't the final hem. I had a few meters of 5 cm 2-inch wide black twill tape. I pre-washed it. I'm not sure it was necessary, but better to be safe than sorry. I basted the twill tape around the bottom of the skirt. So another skirt without a decent hem solution. Why? Because washability is a priority. So I couldn't use tarlatan and I didn't want to use any other stiff fabric either, so that the skirt didn't become any heavier. Twill tape actually stiffens off. It also protects the hem from friction when the bottom of the skirt and my tights or boots rub against each other. While whip stitching, I was very careful to only pick up threads of the lining. I decided to run stitches along the edge of the right placket to help it hang straight. I usually leave the placket open. I can very conveniently reach under the skirt to adjust, well, anything that needs adjusting. Finally, I stitched down the bottom edge of the placket page to make sure it didn't make its way outside. I bought a men's shirt to make a blouse that I could wear with this skirt. You might notice that the waist is not snug enough. That's because I fitted wearing my chemise and a blouse as I intended to wear it in the future. Here I'm wearing it with my corset cover without the corset. I couldn't get myself to get dressed properly. This gathered skirt is more comfortable than my pleated ones. The weight is better distributed around my waist. If you like this video, please give it a thumb up. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you want to get a notification when I upload a new video, click on the bell icon.